The following is a presentation of TFNN. Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Namaste, everybody. It's Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien with Mindful Living, and we want to continue to help you get healthy, feel good, and live life to the fullest every single day. That is our mission here at Mindful Living.
And, you know, today, I just said to Allie, today, folks, the stars, something was with the stars when I woke up this morning.
Yeah, I think it's been a few days, actually.
It has been a few days.
The time change. You know, the time change is weird to me because, I mean, I like that it stays light, darker, but it's hard to get up when it's so dark outside.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. No doubt.
Not to mention, I think it's over 100 of our body's processes are biologically regulated by sunlight. So it does throw us off.
Oh, listen, the first day, Monday, right? I got up, bottom line, I work out with Nico in the morning. I'm saying to myself, man, I'm feeling really good for like 6 o'clock in the morning, meaning it was 5 o'clock in the morning. Well, guess what? No, it wasn't. Nico texted me, are you coming?
Oh, no.
7:30. Oh, man, here I come.
Yeah, oh, gosh. It was crazy hard to get my kids out of bed. But I tell you, today is a beautiful day. I feel like it's getting better, even though the last few days have been a little funky. And today we're sort of on the tail end of that. What started out as a pretty overcast, rainy day turned out to be this gorgeously clear, crisp, sunny 75 degrees.
Right. And folks, specifically what I'm talking about is that it started, a couple deals had to get done quick, and then I said, okay, hey, I got to meditate.
Yeah.
I got to kick back because I could feel my energy going up, and it wasn't going where I wanted it to go. Do you know what I mean?
I did the same thing this
morning. And it was
morning.
like, okay, pull back. Start breathing, okay? And, even when I got back in the office here later, I had to basically close the door and breathe for a bit.
Yeah.
And it's cool because I guess, actually, it was Ray Dalio, right? Ray Dalio is the one that said, how did he put it? He put that, that's reality. So that happens. Mm-hmm. And you better be cognizant of it and just start breathing.
Right. Well, that's why it's suggested or recommended that you start your day with meditation or some sort of calming, focusing practice, because otherwise it's so easy to jump into the craziness of the day and your mind just starts racing, and next thing you know, like we talked about before, you're playing catch up, and it's hectic.
Yeah.
It's already hectic out there.
There's no doubt. Now, in that context, okay, if you don't know this, folks, Allie has an amazing album, okay? And it's chants.
Yeah, Sanskrit chants for healing and harmony. It's called Gratitude.
Right. And I've heard her sing in person, okay, which is a treat beyond belief. But you can go to allieford.com and get that CD.
Yeah.
Because that's tranquil.
Well, I did it as an extension of my yoga teacher training programs because, yoga is from India. It's written in the language of Sanskrit, and this method of chanting was used for many reasons. One, to pass down ancient texts well before the times of the printing presses, but also the chanting of Sanskrit tunes and soothes the nervous system. So it's very relaxing, quite meditative, and all the messages while they're in Sanskrit are really universally positive as well. So my Sanskrit teacher, said that if you want to improve the space you're in, meditate in it or chant in it or even just play the chant.
No, I absolutely agree. Folks, there is no doubt. We all know when you go in space, you can feel it in the space.
Yeah, you can. You feel that energy.
You can have, and that's a cool deal.
Definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like that deal.
Oh, the sweetest thing is last time I was in Greenville. Hi, guys, South Carolina. Last time I was up there, one of my students, who's a mom, said that she was listening to the chants to learn them for our class. And she didn't think that her children listened, but they started chanting right along. They learned the words.
Right.
It's so cool because, as I said, one of the popular chants is Loka Samasta Sukhi no Bhavantu, which means may all beings everywhere be happy and free. Happy and know the true sources of happiness, free from the sources of suffering. I mean, who wouldn't want their child to know what that meant and to learn that chant? And her kids were chanting it. It's
you know
sweet.
what's so cool about that, right? is that, folks, you don't even have to know what the words are, and you're going to love the song. And then when you learn what the words are, it's even better.
Yeah.
It's cool because you say, oh, my God, so how does our systems even work that they know they like something? And then, of course, when the words, it's like, oh, my God, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, and you receive and you feel that just sweet vibration. It's like starting your day with a positive affirmation.
Yeah, no doubt.
Speaking of, our shows, I feel like our weeks just keep getting better. Our guest tonight, I'm so excited to speak to this woman who I was connected with through a friend and yoga practitioner whose name's Caroline, who's just the sweetest soul in the world. And so our guest tonight is a transcendental meditation teacher who has been studying and practicing and teaching since the 60s. Her name is Prudence Bruns, and her maiden name is Farrow. So if that name sounds familiar, it is Mia Farrow's younger sister.
Wow.
And she's going to be coming on tonight to talk about this method of meditation. Which, of course, there are many methods. But this method, TM, right, short for Transcendental Meditation, has been around for a long time. But it really caught on, the TM movement, because of its attraction by public figures. So, as far back as the Beatles.
I remember when the Beatles came to the United States. I mean, well, actually, I think they were almost living in the United States then when they bought their guru, right? I mean, I think they were anyway.
I know the guru, whose name is Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, did a world tour, and so a lot of people were exposed to this teacher through his world tour, and then followed him back to India. And the Beatles, of course, were one group, but they arrived at a time when our guest tonight was there. She was there studying. And we're going to hear her story tonight. She is a very dedicated practitioner. She is still teaching to this day in Northeast Florida, so you can go and study with her.
Nice.
And I'm just so excited to talk with her. But again, there are so many different methods of meditation. And I can't wait to ask her, about the TM method, because while it started back, as far as this teacher was concerned, in the 50s when he started, really spreading the word, it's still alive and kicking to this day. Or I guess we should say alive and sitting.
Well, yeah. What's wild is that, so when you're teaching it in your teacher training, and then, just in general,
right?
It's awesome. There's no two ways about that. And it seems that in even the last 3 or 4 months around this area, that it's like the TM, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's like there's a wave that's coming in right now, right?
That's exactly right.
That's what it seems like.
And
right.
it's, I think, due to the fact that still you see a lot of public figures practicing.
Sure.
So Rupert Murdoch practices TM and says that it's for him it was hard to get started, but it made everything better.
Including Fox News. Oh man, I heard it all now.
Yeah, and it fosters self-reflection. So I think this is something that might be helping all of us. And then film director David Lynch actually made a documentary on it, and it's called Meditation, Creativity, and Peace, and that was in 2005.
Yes.
Recently started a foundation. In 2005 he started a foundation. It's called the David Lynch Foundation, and it's so cool because he's teaching TM to at-risk students, veterans, the homeless, incarcerated individuals. So really spreading the word that way. And I actually just saw an interview with Russell Simmons, who recently wrote a book. I mean, not to mention, Oprah, she's a big practitioner of TM and did a whole show on TM. So you're still really seeing the momentum going.
Oh, there's no doubt.
But as we talk about all the time, it's not just TM, it's meditation in general that's kind of, really moving around the world.
I agree.
But that's what's so interesting, because there's transcendental meditation is, as we said, one method. Then you've got other methods where you focus on the breath. That would be sort of a derivative of mindfulness meditation.
Yes.
So, it's interesting that so many people are such big fans and practitioners of TM, and they say that it works. Dr. Oz, I remember seeing a video with him. He said that he put all of his employees through TM training, and a lot of his colleagues said, well, what are you doing? Taking time out with all your employees, giving them time to do absolutely nothing.
Yes.
But he said it improved their productivity by what he feels is over 90%. Giving them some space to absolutely do nothing.
No, that's huge. There's absolutely part of us that I think when you get that focused, you know that you can get, like, out of the portion of even a day or a week, I would say creativity and productivity is that 45 minutes to an hour of that is like a week.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
because you're so
it's,
focused.
And it's cool because then you also realize that why can't I do this all the time?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, because like this morning I was reading something. I'm saying to myself, you know what? I should just analyze this whole deal. And, you know, I didn't. But if I did, it would have been great. It would have been 45 minutes of analyzing, and it would have been fun. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, you know, and I know what the differences are.
Yeah.
I absolutely know what the differences are.
I think a lot of people have questions about meditation still, and this is another question I can't wait to talk about with Prudence because she's been doing it for so long and teaching for so long. I think a lot of people have misconceptions about meditation, what it does, where it's from, and what is the history. So
no, I agree. You know what's sad is that people get scared of just looking at themselves.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the biggest realities.
It's true, and it can be scary. It can be scary to sit with ourselves.
But every time you open the door, it's never as scary as thinking what it's going to be there.
It's true, yeah.
Right?
It
isn't.
It's revealing and healing.
Think about any time you've been scared of anything, right?
Yeah.
Once you open that door and say, okay, get out of here.
Face it.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, is that all it is?
Right. Yeah.
It's never as bad.
That's the mind making it a lot bigger than it ever was.
Trip, no doubt.
So we are so honored and thrilled to welcome Prudence Bruns to the program, who, as we said, has been studying TM since the 60s, was there with the Beatles, and who inspired John Lennon to write a song about her called Dear Prudence. Dr. Bruns, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so glad you have interest in all this. Great.
Deep interest.
Yes. Welcome. Thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. You know, that when Allie told me that you were going to be on, and I'm sure you hear this a million times, you know, I never knew, you know, even the words to the song, but that song is so beautiful. It's amazing. And then when I read the words, I said, oh, my God, it's really gorgeous, you know. So I'm sure you heard it, but I had to say it because...
Yeah. No, I know. It's a beautiful song. And, you know, really what he's singing about is what you're feeling that deep interest for, is that I had such a commitment to something that is so abstract to a lot of people, but not so many in the yoga world, and more people are getting interested in that deeper part of themselves that's silent. But I just was so committed to it that, you know, that was beautiful to him, because I wasn't, you know, I mean, they had seen beautiful women, believe me.
Yes.
And it wasn't about the outer beauty, it was about the inner.
That is so cool.
It is.
Because that vibrates big time.
And I just want to let our listeners know that you can go online and read the history of this song and your story. In fact, I read it on Wikipedia. You might have another resource you'd rather us refer to.
Probably, but I don't have another resource. I would rather another one.
So might be a silly question, but on that story, it said you literally retreated to your room for 3 weeks to really intensely study the TM method, and this is when John Lennon wrote the song about you. Is that right? Is that really the case?
Yes, I mean, well, we were all there. Everybody that was there to do. It was a retreat, so we were there to do extra meditation, and we were under the supervision of the best, as far as I'm concerned, for sure. Mm-hmm. And so I felt completely, you know, trusting and you know, to give myself over to this process of going deeper and deeper. And we were in Rishikesh, which is a place for centuries that people go to meditate. So the atmosphere there, it's where the Ganges just comes out of the Himalayas. It's considered a very sacred place. Mm-hmm. And so being able to meditate there in that atmosphere I knew it was, you know, maybe lifetimes, or if you want to believe in that. But it was something that, you know, I deeply, deeply was grateful to be able to do, and I didn't want to waste a moment of it. And Marishi was encouraging all of us to meditate as much as possible.
So amazing. I cannot wait to hear your story. So if you'll just stay with us, sit tight, and we'll take a quick break and come right back. We'll be back with more from Prudence Bruns right after the break. Stay put, guys.
In quiet markets, investors search for new trading opportunities. We'd like to introduce you to a new product that provides opportunities even in flat markets. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a new and innovative Chicago-based exchange registered with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their trading platform. Nadex never charges a fee to use their platform, which even includes real-time charts and full customization capability. Nadex's unique short-term binary options allow traders and investors to capitalize on strategies even when the underlying markets are quiet. Nadex's innovation has allowed them to come up with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com, or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
We're told to follow our passion. Everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFNN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy, a set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders, take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
No matter where you listen to TFNN programming, we want you to know you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones and iPads, located at the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a mobile connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all of our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and radio call and talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not here. What are you doing right now? Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling. Yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling. Yeah.
Welcome back to Mindful Living. We're here with Prudence Bruns, who is teaching Transcendental meditation and has been for a very long time. So we're honored to have her on the show. Prudence, would you just tell us a little bit about your story, how you were introduced to TM and how you made your way to India?
I became very interested in meditation after I had an experience when my father died 1 week after I turned 15 years old. I had my first real spiritual experience that was very profound, and I felt a connection to everything that was way past anything I could imagine or have prayed for. And it kind of changed my whole perspective on everything, in that nothing else, once I finished with that experience, nothing could meet that. Nothing really could satisfy me after that, except to want more of a spiritual experience. And then I read Siddhartha, which some of you may have read, by Hermann Hesse. And he was talking about Siddhartha, who's the Buddha, and he meditates, and inside of himself he finds this wellspring of purity and silence and connectedness. So I realized after reading that the way I could reach it was through meditation, and I became obsessed with meditation. And that was in about 1964, but in 1966, it took that long until I I met someone who had just come back from India and had been studying with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi.
Wow.
And he described this simple technique, because I'd been trying so many different methods of meditation up to that point.
Huh.
There weren't a lot of teachers of meditation. Nobody was really doing it, but there was a Zen school in a few places, and then I got books like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all seemed so complicated, or they just didn't, like when I went to the Zen center, there wasn't real guidance. You know, everyone would just close their eyes and meditate, and I didn't know what that meant.
Mm-hmm.
And so this guy, you know, explained to me, the first thing he said is, you know, when I told him I was interested in meditation, he said, "Oh, I've just come back from India, and I've studied with this saint who really, that's what he teaches." And he says that deep inside of each of us is this wellspring, this silence. It's at the basis of the mind. And we can tap into it and begin to bring that experience into our lives. And the simplicity of what he was explaining to me was really very profound at that point, because I'd been searching in my own mind, being young. 2 years was a long time, and I tried many different things, and I was really feeling kind of hopeless that I wasn't going to, you know, be able to get what I needed, because I wanted the real connection, a real experience, you know, enough talking about it. I had to have it live. I had to experience this. And so when he explained it, the simplicity of it was what really hit me. And I just knew this is what I had to learn. And I did learn it. And then all I could think about, it met my expectations and some. And then all I could think about was studying with this master of yoga who knew how to teach this. And so that was 1966. And when I tried to go to India, he had a course in 1967. And I was told I was too young, that I couldn't go. And that was just devastating to me.
Wow.
But eventually I got to go, because I just felt, you know, I mean, at that point, I was so hungry for it. It was sort of like somebody in the desert needing water. I just needed a real spiritual live connection. And I was getting it in my meditation, but I needed more. I really felt I had to give myself to this. And so another year later, I got to go. And but in that year in between, I was with Swami Satchidananda, and I learned yoga, and I learned to teach it, and I opened a yoga school in Boston and was teaching there for that year.
Where did you open in Boston, Prudence?
I opened on Marlborough Street in Boston.
So that was pretty wild, 1970. I'm from South Boston.
1967.
Oh, that was, Marlborough Street was wild in 1967. Oh, that's a riot.
And let me ask you, because the bio that I read also says that you're from a very strong Catholic background, went to Covenant schools. Did this have any effect on your Catholic faith, or what would be TM's response to that?
That's a good question. I mean, when I was turned down and told that I was too young to go, one of the things that we had learned as Catholics is that there is such thing as miracle. So I decided to go to Lourdes, which is the holy place in the Catholic Church where Our Lady appeared. Yeah. So I went there. I went there for 2.5 months with the prayer that I could go to India.
Great.
That I could somehow miraculously make that happen, and it did happen. And that's a whole other story. But yeah, so my Catholicism played a major role in that it played a major role growing up, but it also played a role in that, I just had heard so much about the spiritual experience over the years, being a Catholic, and we do have prayers where you can sort of muster up a certain experience, but it just wasn't giving me enough, and I just felt that, for centuries all of us have talked about the spiritual experience, but so few gain it, and I really had to have it. I had to have it.
When, it was unfortunate that your father passed away so young, but what I'm hearing out of this, you had that experience, right? after that.
Yes.
And so you got that taste of it, and you wanted that taste back, right? That was interesting. And no, I can. Yeah.
I mean, the thing about TM that, you know, there's lots of things that go under the term meditation, and it's very confusing for people nowadays.
Yes.
And they can be very different, and they're not in conflict necessarily at all, but they're different. And what TM does is it connects you on an experiential level with a part of yourself that's unbounded, that's silent, and it's there in everybody. I mean, I've taught thousands of people now, and once you get that experience, which you do immediately, it's very transformative. It's just very, very healing. It's extremely profound, but it's also very healthy. I mean, all of the yoga tradition, which, you know, is an amazing tradition, and it doesn't just cover the body. In fact, its main focus is the mind, because it's only through the mind that we can make that shift where we realize that we are not just our bodies, but we are also the collective soul that we all share. We are spiritual also. And that spiritual part of ourselves is very healthy because it's 100% positive, and it's stable. It doesn't change. So it has a very profound effect
so beautiful.
on anybody who does it.
And to be able to see that or touch that somehow is so healing. You also mentioned the technique itself is simple, the simplicity of it. Would you talk more about the technique of TM?
Yeah, the technique, it's sort of like if you look at the mind like an ocean, like let's say the Atlantic or the Gulf of Mexico. The surface has a lot of activity, but if you can go very deep, it's very still. And it's sort of like if we were a little boat on the surface that gets pushed around by the waves and the wind, and currents are dragging it around, and it has a chance to lower an anchor. That changes everything for the little boat. It's no longer at the mercy of those outside elements. And that's one way to look at what TM does, is it helps you reach deep inside and open you or connect with a part of yourself that's absolutely silent. And everybody has that in them. Everybody. And those of you who do yoga, you know it when you do particularly the Shavasana, or, you know, when you do that, there's moments where you just let go of everything and you feel this more subtle part of this more subtle energy, and you connect with it. And that's what you connect with TM. TM is yogic meditation.
Okay.
That's all.
I'm telling you. You just saying that.
Huh?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just saying that it just deepens the yoga experience. And yoga, the system of yoga, says that all of us really need to connect with that to be whole. And otherwise, we will always be dysfunctional in some way. And we know, dysfunction from human beings can cause wars. It could cause all kinds of trouble. Even pollution and all of that really comes from the mind not being as strong as it can be. And when we go deep inside, we expand and deepen our internal experience. And those deeper layers of the mind are more connected. They're very, very subtle. And you're connecting not with the senses so much, sensory world, but more with the world of energy, the layers of energy. And so there's no time and space there. There's no change. There's a wholeness that's there. It's very, very satisfying and healing and peaceful. You get serenity, inner serenity from it.
And you mentioned that you can feel that feeling when you're, as you say, relaxing in the resting pose, Shavasana, or do you have glimpses of this when you're really focused on music or something else that you love?
Yes, that's a really good question. I think that because it's there in all of us.
Prudence, let's hold it. Let's hold it for the break. Okay. This is I get this question a lot. I can't wait to hear your answer. So stay with us. We'll be right back with more from Prudence on Transcendental Meditation. Stay right there.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investment strategy. You're always looking for the next trading opportunity to magnify your perspective. Direction Shares connects sophisticated traders with a powerful array of ETFs from a wide range of asset classes. The markets may go up and down, and you want tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC.
Who says you can't take it with you? TFNN says you can. With your mobile device and TFNN's live radio streams, TFNN has put it all in the palm of your hands. No special apps to download. No subscription fees for live radio or Tiger TV streams. We say you can.
Now let's go over to the dollar, because the dollar is going to be the generator. It is the generator of basically higher dollar, lower market. And what the dollar has done, and this whole uptrend, folks, has just gone sideways. The way it works, folks, is this.
We say you can. The Tiger Financial News Network. Smart investors and professional traders know you can. TFNN.com. Educating investors. Life is a mystery to be lived, not a problem to be solved. Mindful Living with Allie Ford and Tom O'Brien.
Oh, sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. I get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
And we're back, folks, with Prudence Bruns, Transcendental meditation teacher. And Prudence, you were just telling us about the method itself and how it takes you deeper to touch the stillness.
Right. And you asked a very good question. Can you experience that in other situations? And yes, you can. But what makes TM really unique is it gives you full access to it. So that you can daily not just experience it, but bring it into your living life. So you're not just finding it, you're actually living it. So, I mean, all of us, have tapped into different parts of ourselves at different points. And especially if we're doing, different spiritual practices. But from my experience, there is nothing as profound, as direct, as complete as TM. It's really what yoga is all about, which is, realizing that you are a spiritual person and living, in really living that, along with a full life, at the same time.
Prudence, you brought up the aspect of, at the end of a yoga practice, folks, you do Shavasana, and that's a resting period for folks that just don't do yoga. So it's a total resting period. And my question is this. I've never done TM, okay, but I do meditate. And when you brought up that aspect, I said to Allie, oh my God, I got to find out what TM is, because, and this is what my question is to you, because when not all the time when I do Shavasana, but many times during the week, okay, the difference with me, first let me just talk about meditation. When I'm meditating, I'm doing it through breathing, I'm cognizant of thoughts coming in my mind, going out of my mind, but I'm cognizant of that all times. And it brings me down, it brings me to a beautiful place, right? Now, what happens with Shavasana is that as I'm resting, I literally almost go on a trip, okay? And I can get so lost in it that, 5, 10, whatever minutes there, they're saying, okay, you got to get up. And I'm saying to myself, oh, wow. But it's beautiful. So as the TM, my question would be, do I supposed to be cognizant of my thoughts or not cognizant? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, see, the thing is that traditionally, I have a PhD in Sanskrit, so these were questions that I had, even as a teacher of TM, was how to explain this to people. Where does it, what is the background to all of this?
Yes.
And the thing is that traditionally, it was always taught. Meditation was always taught. You found somebody who was a master in it, sort of like the martial arts, somebody who was adept in it, and then you studied under them and you learned how to do it. So you need to be guided inward, and it's a very simple process that we do that allows the mind to slip deep within. I mean, it's kind of like when you were learning to swim and you first learning to dive, and you would do belly flops, and after a certain point you got the right angle and then gravity took over. Well, what we do is we give you the correct angle, and the mind itself, once it's shown how to go within, you can't stop it. It just snowballs like gravity. The closer to the earth, the more the draw.
Yes.
The closer the mind gets to that silence or itself or that being or that consciousness is called Satchitananda, which is all of those things. And once the mind starts its journey there, it wants to go there, and you can't stop it. And that's why so many people can learn TM who are not interested in meditation, not interested in yoga. Maybe they're just sick and they need relief from stress, or they need help because of heart disease or whatever. But they will also get the experience. And in the yoga tradition, the yoga asanas are good for health, but we're there to help the body become an ally to the mind on its journey, to becoming more subtle. And so that's why you're feeling those things when you do your asanas that are different, because they're refining your experience and they're helping the body want and be a part of the quest that the mind eventually will go on as it goes inward.
And how do you really made a very important point. There are a plethora of books available, and I'm sure it is very helpful information. But as you said, the best way to learn is through an experienced teacher. You had the great fortune of studying with the master himself. How would you recommend someone find a teacher today?
I would, the great thing that Maharishi did, and I was very fortunate to study under him. I spent as much time as I could learning from him. And it was not about him. It was about this great tradition of yoga. I mean, he was the one bringing out this understanding, but it was never about him. And so he laid out a way to train teachers to be able to pass this on. And so the TM, organization that teaches TM, the teachers that are trained, I mean, even whether you like us, I mean, I've taught people who really don't care for me much because they see me as a Beatles hippie or whatever. But
that's a good thing.
It doesn't matter. The training is there, and people get that experience no matter who, as long as we've gone through the teacher training, we can teach anybody, and it doesn't matter. So I would say, just go to a TM center and learn it there, and you'll be blown away. You'll be blown away. It's amazing, and it's all laid out. I mean, that was what Maharishi felt his task was to leave us this understanding of yoga, because back in the 60s, some of us feel like we're sort of your grandparents, or at least your parents, and we went through sort of together, a group of us, a kind of I don't know, almost a identity crisis, where we rejected the way the world had been going, and we found a way that was different, and the answers weren't going to be outside ourselves, they were inside ourselves. And that was a very new approach. It was a revolutionary approach at the time, because the West just didn't think that way. Now you guys are our children and our grandchildren. You've grown up with these ideas. But that was the introduction of yoga.
Right.
Yoga is a huge system, and it's got enormous wisdom. In fact, that's all it's about, is becoming wise. And if you're wise, you're happy and you're living properly. And so the mind has to be involved as well, not just the body. And TM really has that. it completes the picture for the yoga vision, and for those who are interested, you really want to do it. You owe it to yourself to really do yogic meditation, because these other ones, and I'm talking from experience, these other ones really have their origins in the Buddhist tradition, which originally came from India and from the yoga tradition, but it's a few steps removed. And so it's a very different approach than the yogic meditation, which is a very, very simple process. And it's all about connecting with that part of the mind. And that part of the mind, it does the job. Once you start connecting with that and deepening your experience, it changes you. That's where the transformation comes from. Just by making that connection and living it, you become a better person, you become wholer, you become deeper, you become stronger and more dynamic, too.
So since you're talking about the method and how TM differs from other methods of meditation, if you would explain, Transcendental meditation is a mantra meditation, right? We're focusing on repetition of a sound or a word, correct?
It is, but it's not about, mantras are, again, I also had exactly the same question you had. That's why I went, to school to figure out all this stuff, to try and read the texts myself about yoga. And there's all different use for mantras. Mantra just means sounds or words. And there's ones to calm you, and there are different mantra uses. The ones we use are for transcending. So basically, what they do is they just help the mind slip within. So it's the connection the mind makes. The mantra is just a tool. It's just a tool. But what's great or what's important is the connection we make, and that opening ourselves up deep within, so that silence can start to pour through us. We can start to live it. We can start to have it.
Okay.
And that's where the mantras come in. I mean, we do use mantras too, but just as tools for that.
Right.
You had made a distinction between yoga and then the Buddhist tradition. So was there a breakaway like centuries ago on this whole thought process of how this works?
Well, I think what a lot of the great teachers all throughout time, really the great wise teachers, especially if you look back into meditation, they didn't really explain it to us that well. If you look back, people, especially like with Buddha, he didn't tell people what they were doing or train teachers to teach them. And they say that, his presence, what he had gained as an individual, the state of consciousness he radiated, was so powerful that he left 500 enlightened people on earth. But over time, since there was no method, really, as you see, if you start TM, there's a very detailed method of training.
I see.
There was no real teaching there. Then it gradually became sort of recapturing what he had, like, he sat this way, or he believed this, or you use the breath. It's more that we started, and I did this myself. I mean, we started doing things more from the outside in, where, I used my breath a lot. I concentrated and controlled, different things. But what happens with TM is that you're just given away, like diving. Before you could dive, you did belly flops. It just didn't work.
No, that's a great point. No, I can see the point.
Right.
Yeah. So what we do is just help you make that connection. That's all that TM is about, is making that profound connection inside, really making it. And that's why, I'm spending the rest of my life until the day I die, just telling people who are interested about it, because it's just so much easier and so much more profound than anything that's out there. And if that's what you're looking for, you will get it. You will get it.
And I do want to add there that our listeners can visit your website, Prudence, at tm-florida.org. It's the Northeast Florida Transcendental Meditation Center.
Northwest.
Excuse me, Northwest. Yes, that's the west coast of Florida.
Right, but tm.org itself, It's a good site to explore.
Okay.
And they have
TM.org.
videos and blogs, and they have people like Seinfeld and different well-known people talking about they've been meditating for 30 years or something. And so you can sort of explore on your own and see if it's something you want to do. And I'm just one person talking about it. I'm a kind of a little bit fanatical. I mean, that's why John wrote the song.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Because it's amazing. I mean, John Lennon is an amazing person, period. You're an amazing person. And it is so cool that, I mean, that had to vibrate through your whole life.
Yeah.
But just the whole experience, that's when you know that we're all one big connection. It's really cool.
We are. We share a collective soul. I mean, my deepest, most intimate self is also yours.
Yes.
And that's how
Lucky us.
Like Buddha and Jesus and people who had really gained that inner connection in a profound way, that's how they could turn the other cheek, or they could give a piece that we could all relate to when you'd be in their presence. It's because we all have that in us, but we just don't have a way of finding it. And for whatever reasons, we're very fortunate that that a real master came to America. I don't know why. I mean, if you read these old texts, people searched, even in the best of times in India, they searched for years and years up in the Himalayas to find a real master. It was never easy to find somebody who really had mastered this. So that we had one come to us shows that something amazing is happening in the world where consciousness really is changing. I mean, it gives me great hope for the future. And you guys are the future. You and your children. And my generation, it started in, but you guys are carrying it on.
Well,
But you have to live it. You've got to live it. You've got to live it. You can't just talk about it. And living it is a powerful experience. It's not just feeling good. It's much more than that.
So we can get up to visit with you very easily. We could just road trip it together.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure
I'd
Tom
love
and
it if you did. I'd love it. In fact, I could find a place for you to stay and everything.
Oh, beautiful. Do you ever travel and teach, Prudence?
I do sometimes, yeah.
Okay, and so you post your schedule on your website?
Not really, but you can always call me. Like, let's say you had a little group of people that really wanted to do it.
Okay.
And we somehow work it out. I'd love to come.
And that would be a couple-day process to get started, or?
It's 4 days. It's 4 days. The course is 4 days in a row. About an hour and a half each day, so it could be evenings.
That's not bad, yeah.
Morning. And the first day is with me alone, so that means that each person would spend an hour with me alone, the first day. And then the following 3 days would be everybody together.
Okay. Yeah,
So what has been your most profound experience, outside of the first experience you had, meaning that you were not going to eat, sleep, or drink until you found that experience again?
The most profound, I mean, because I've been going after profound experiences, I've had some amazing, in my mind, experiences. Amazing.
Yes.
But one of the really important moments for me was when I met Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, in the sense that I met a human being that was really living my dream.
Yes.
What I had hoped for. He had so much of that peace radiating from him. It was a very, very profound experience.
Sure.
And, that for me at that point in time was very important to see that it was possible, that that as humans it's possible, and in a major way, because I really wanted to live it fully. I really wanted to live that as completely as possible.
Well,
I had to.
You know what's amazing about that is that, I mean, it's possible that you manifested that.
Yeah, it's so.
Which is really cool in the context of everything we're talking about, right? Maybe you
yeah. I mean, don't they say when the student is ready, the teacher comes?
Totally.
Yes.
Well, I'm talking about even in the whole aspect that, guess what? You had this experience 2 or 3 years before, he came here. It's very possible that you manifested the whole deal, which is really cool.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious.
It is cool.
Yeah.
Well, and I just want to, emphasize that what you said earlier, Prudence, that anyone can practice TM regardless of background, religion. I think, just to dispel any myths out there or misconceptions.
Right. That's exactly right. I mean, it's yoga. Can't anyone practice yoga?
Yeah.
And I mean, that was a question I had because I was made a teacher in 1968. And people would ask me, is yoga a religion? They were always asking me that. And I knew from my experience that it was more basic to anybody's beliefs or whatever. It was just part of the human condition. I mean, yoga allows you to tap into what the potential we have as human beings. So, but when I got to read the text in Sanskrit on my own, yoga was what we would call a self-help practice. It was never a religion. And I can say that as an authority now. It was never a religion. It was just giving people practices that they could do, and whatever their beliefs or non-beliefs or whatever, they would apply their growth, their internal growth.
Right.
Yeah. And just, direct it in whatever way they needed to. So it's about self-development, and self-development as human beings can be far more profound than we realize. And the word, when I said the word wisdom, we need to be wise for the future.
Yes.
We've done so many amazing things technologically, such amazing advances, but now we need to advance the human condition. And for that, you have to practice these yoga. I mean, all that whole thrust inward, that came from yoga. And these techniques that they give us are incredibly powerful. They help us be more human. And if we're stronger and more human, we're not going to be prey to anger and fear and jealousy and all the things that cause so much havoc. We'll be much bigger than that, and we need to be to survive ourselves in the future, because it's getting pretty crowded here on Earth.
Thank you so much, Prudence. So inspiring, such a beautiful teacher. Thank you for living the passion and spreading the word.
Thank you.
For more information,
thank you.
You're so welcome. For more information, please visit Prudence's website, tm-florida.org, and join us next week for more mindful living. Until then,
thanks so much, Prudence.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great one. Have a safe one.
Thank you.
Bye.
You're watching Tiger TV.